Hi there, the bipolar lesbian here, and today we're going to be covering a video by a so-called doctor on the dangers of psychiatric drugs and how they are more dangerous than we have been led to believe. However, I highly doubt his claims, and throughout the video, I will be backing up what I say with facts from different websites that I find, including the FDA and other certified sites that have sources and things like that. So without further ado, let's go into what this guy is on about and, discuss that and see how wrong he is.
This is Dr. Peter Bregan, and this is another in my Simple Truths about psychiatry. And the subject today is that psychiatric drugs are much, much more dangerous than you've ever been led to believe by the doctors who are prescribing them.
So yes, this is a doctor that is pretty much against all forms of psychiatric medications and does not like them in any way, shape, or form and would discourage people from using them. So not much more to say on that, except this guy is pants on head retarded, and we'll see what else this guy has to say, because I'm sure a genius like him has a lot of vast knowledge that we're going to be learning.
I genuinely believe that if most people knew how dangerous the psychiatric drugs really were, most people would never start on them. And I also believe that if most prescribers had even the faintest idea how dangerous they were, they'd stop prescribing them. Well, how is it that so many people can be ignorant about psychiatric drugs? Well, the truth is because they're all getting their information from the drug companies. I mean, when was the last time you saw a car company leap up to tell people way in advance that they'd had some deaths on the road from their bad brakes? When was the last time the car companies went mea culpa and said, yes, our accelerators are sticking and running people down?
I'm pretty sure prescribers know the dangers. They kind of went to school for that. They go over the risks with you when you go into their office and are prescribed a new drug. They do go over what may happen, the side effects you may experience. And if you do experience these side effects, they tell you to discontinue use and consult them again. They're not going to lie to you and not tell you that there is no risk at all involving a certain medication. However, the risk is usually much less significant than the advantage of taking a certain medication, like an antipsychotic. People that take these drugs need them to feel better, to feel stabilized, and it is completely ridiculous that you would think that, it is more dangerous to be at a small risk of developing odd side effects than it is the greater risk of not being on the medication at all and, potentially being suicidal, potentially homicidal. And I'm not saying that everyone is, very, very few people are, and that car manufacturer metaphor, it's called a recall. Cars get recalled all the time. Besides, like I said, your prescribers go over the dangers with you. So the metaphor is a really crappy one, which really has no basis in reality. And to say that any, doctor will not go over the drug the same as a car company won't go over the rest of their medication is ridiculous. Because, for one, like I said, car companies do recall their cars all the time, especially if it was a major hazard like the brakes sticking or, the accelerator sticking or the brakes not working. They would recall that in an instant, okay? They're not going to, settle for lawsuits. They're going to go with a recall. And as for psychiatric drugs, same thing. Your doctor's not going to want to put you in danger. They want to get you better. So they're not going to hide the dangers from you. They're going to go over them with you and explain them in detail, and really hope that you follow their advice and continue the use only if you are showing improvement. If not, consult them again. But if you start experiencing strange symptoms, obviously they want you to stop that, and they want you to talk to them about it.
They go to all kinds of extremes to avoid letting you know and letting your doctor know how dangerous the drugs are. I know this because I've been a medical expert in dozens of lawsuits against drug companies. I've looked inside drug companies and seen what they're really doing. I was appointed by a court in Indiana to be the scientific expert for over 150 lawsuits against Eli Lilly, suits alleging that the drug Prozac had caused violence, suicide, mayhem, mania, and psychosis. So I know what goes inside. I know as much as anyone about how dangerous the drugs are. So let me just give you a little brief outline of material you can find in the first half of my book, Psychiatric Drug Withdrawal. Obviously, the second half is intended to help you come off psychiatric drugs, because it can be very dangerous to come off drugs. It's dangerous and sometimes more than starting the drugs. Let's take a look at the stimulants that you may be taking as a college student or as a parent that you may be giving to your children. Follow-up studies on people who were started on stimulants as children show that they have shrinkage of brain tissue, measurable on brain scans. They have reduced height and weight. They're being incarcerated more often than other people. They're going to mental hospitals more often. Their suicide rate is increased. Every single one of these facts documented by follow-up studies of what happens to you if you get started on stimulants. And one particularly well-done study, the rate of cocaine abuse is greater when you become a young man or woman if you've been put on stimulants as a child. That's because the stimulant drugs, such as Ritalin and Concerta and Adderall and Dexedrine, they're so similar to cocaine in their effects.
Sorry if it's a bit cut off. He's talking about the pharmaceutical companies here. I'm not going to say that they don't have an agenda for trying to get their medication out there. However, I'm sure that your doctor or psychiatrist has your best interest in mind and is going to choose what's best for you. I don't think they are in cahoots and are going to try to push drugs on you. Although perhaps a shady doctor somewhere does, certainly not all of them are going to be doing that. Then, of course, he has to plug his book. Don't listen to the doctors or the pharmaceutical companies. They just want money. But hey, you can buy my book. And it's dangerous to come off drugs if you don't listen to your own doctor or do it suddenly. If you do one of those things, if you don't tell your doctor you're stopping or stopping it suddenly, yes, that could hurt you. So those are the dangers of coming off the antipsychotic or any drugs in the antidepressant or antipsychotic variety. That's the danger. It's not the drugs themselves that are to blame. It is going against the doctor's orders and doing your own thing. Don't listen to fools like this would be step one to avoiding this problem. Regarding the brain, here's an excerpt from a study I have found, which I will post a link to below. Sorry, bear with me one moment. A 10-year study by the National Institute of Mental Health, scientists have found the brains of children and adolescents with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are 3 to 4% smaller than those of children who don't have the disorder, and that the medication treatment is not the cause. Indeed, in the first major study to scan previously never medicated patients, they found strikingly similar white matter volumes in children who had not taken stimulant drugs. Still, the course of the brain development in ADHD patients paralleled that of normal subjects, suggesting that whatever caused the disorder happened earlier. So, as you can tell, this guy is full of crap. I found no claim for the violence. Misuse is really the only thing mentioned regarding the others he mentioned being a documented side effect, such as suicide or anything in that category of a dangerous side effect. Again, it's the misuse of the drugs. And as for becoming addicted to other substances, stimulant drugs are not the cause of someone being an addict to cocaine or other drugs. An addictive personality and a lack of self-control are to blame for that one. So it's not the stimulant drugs, it's the person behind who's doing the drugs.
All right, let's look at another group, the sedative, sleeping pills that you're taking, like Sonata and Ambien, any one of the prescription sedatives used for sleep. We now got 2 or more good studies showing they shorten lifespan. You can Google them. You can Google practically anything I'm telling you, but you'll get more accurate and direct data from psychiatric drug withdrawal.
This is ridiculous because as someone with insomnia or anyone else with it for that matter will tell you that these medications are a lifesaver to being able to actually get some rest. As for the shortened lifespans, I only found an article that says chronic insomnia shortens the lifespan, and I quote, "The most surprising result was the increased high risk for mortality among individuals with chronic insomnia versus those without insomnia, even after adjustments for all the potential confounding variables," Finn says. The other important finding was the non-differentiation between subtypes of insomnia with respect to mortality risk. So, as you can tell, this guy does not know anything that he is talking about. In fact, instead of the claim that he makes that these drugs shorten lifespans, it's the opposite. Not taking these drugs for a condition that you are diagnosed with actually can shorten your lifespan, because as human beings, we need sleep. And sleep resets the body, resets the mind, and if we don't get enough of it, we suffer physically and mentally, and that leads to our downfall. So instead of what he says, it's the exact opposite, like most of the things he says in this video. So sorry for any of the hard cuts. I apologize for that. I'm still getting used to editing my videos and putting them together. I figured this video has gone on long enough and I will be covering it in a part 2, as I don't want to make my videos too long and have them ramble on as I tend to do. So look out for a part 2, and thank you for watching this video. Peace, guys.